Before I became a world famous YouTuber, I was actually a software engineer for 15 years. And during the last 5 years of my career, I realized that I was actually getting code written about 10 times faster than even the most senior developers at my company. Weirdly, most of these tips aren't about how to be better at coding. They more come from my attempts to start a business. Starting businesses has made me a much better developer. And the reason is when you're starting a business, if you don't get anything done, your business will die. So it becomes imperative that you're actually productive day after day. Tip number one, and this is something that will make you fail as a business and it'll make you fail as a coder, it's you have to prioritize what you're working on every single day. You can only be working on the most important things. Even though I was good at coding 5 years ago, I would get sucked into things I thought were cool rather than things that would move the needle. Things that move the needle are the only things that matter. So those things I thought were cool, but they didn't make me any more money or make the clients happier or do much for me. It's a simple mindset shift where you just, every day you prioritize the most important thing and you only work on that until it's done, and then you do the next most important thing. That alone will make you so much better than all of your peers, and you don't have to make any changes to your life. Tip number two is something I did not realize 5 years ago when I was a mid-level dev, and that is that if you were a battery as a person, which you're not, but if you were, task switching is an operation that drains that battery at an incredible rate. Meaning you're happily coding along one day, and then you get a chat message or an email or it's time for a meeting. That's task switching. And every time you do that, it drains your battery because you have to completely switch gears and think about something completely new. You have to organize your day so that you're doing that as few times as possible. And the big killer that developers deal with and that I've dealt with on a lot of projects in the past, particularly legacy projects, is build times. So you compile a project. I once worked on a project where it took 10, 15 minutes for the whole thing to build. Another thing we do with task switching is a lot of developers take pride in how many monitors they have. They go, oh, I've got my primary laptop and I've got this monitor and this monitor up here and another monitor up here and a monitor down here. You don't need that many monitors. I have found that when you have multiple monitors up, you have things on all the monitors, and the monitors have images that are popping up at you and telling you to do stuff. It's just more task switching from monitor to monitor. What's on this one? What's on this one? You're going to do a lot better with a single screen. Get a big screen. You're a developer. You're going to need a lot of space. More task switching. So I bought these AirPods Maxes, which are way too expensive a couple months ago. They're awesome. They're noise canceling headphones, and I bring these up with task switching because I've been working from home of late and jets fly up above me all the time. And every time a jet flies overhead, that's task switching. You're hearing this crazy loud noise coming. Any noises that distract you are task switching. You need to work to eliminate all of this. And I do it by simply earmuffing myself. Now I can't hear you at all. It's quite good. I like it. Okay, the next tip. Automate everything that can be automated. Holy cow. If computers can do it, computers should be doing it. You shouldn't be doing it. And I know it takes some time to automate things. So the example I'm going to give is a continuous integration system that builds your projects and deploys it automatically. I know that writing a Jenkins script or something of that nature to do that automatically takes time, but it is worth every second to never have to think about it again. Again, this goes back to task switching. It's not just that you would have to manually build it yourself each time. It's that every time you manually build it yourself, you've task switched and you're suddenly not as productive as you could have been if it just automatically happened and you never thought about it. Really, to be more productive, it's all about saving your own personal battery. You only have so much energy throughout a day, and the less stuff you're doing, the more you can be focused on the stuff that matters. Automation's less attractive cousin is systematization. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. And what this is like what I was saying before with checking your email. You have to check your email. You can't avoid it. But do you have to check your email every 15 minutes? Could you do it every hour? Could you do it every 2 hours? Could you do it every 3 hours? An actual coding tip. Developers might like this. This one's simple. Less code is better code. Always. every time. I know what you're saying. You're saying, Sean, no, this one time, and you're wrong. Less code is always better. The next tip is there are two types of programmers in this world. There's one who will never try a new technology ever in his entire career because I hate new things. And while I understand that, you got to keep up, otherwise you're going to be the only Fortran developer left in 2021. And while that maybe had a little bit of a peak with the unemployment systems all crashing, you should probably keep up. But the second type of programmer is the guy who wants to try every new technology the second it comes out, and that's always the best. Something you learn after you've been doing this for a while is that most new technologies fail, and you're stuck having built a platform on something that's gone. You need to be in the middle of the guy who won't change and the guy who wants to change right now. You have to fall somewhere in that spectrum. If you're in there, you're good to go. You're golden for your rest of your career. If you're outside of those lines, you're going to be getting lapped by guys like me. The next tip is you need to learn to challenge management. And this is tricky because telling your boss to go shove it, while it's fun, it's maybe not a great career move always. This happens over and over again in software engineering because typically the person giving out all the money is not a software developer, and they don't know what's possible with software and what isn't possible. And so they're going to ask you for things that may just not be realistic. And you have to look at them in the eye and say, no, screw you, I'm not doing it, you're an idiot. Nicely. But you do have to say it. If you can't, they're going to expect you to build it and you're going to feel overwhelmed all the time. The next tip is that you have to learn to handle overwhelm. If you're coding or building a business, this is going to happen to you over and over again, where 5 things are supposed to get done, you could only get 2 of them done, and you just have to prioritize which ones you would rather do. As long as you follow my other tips to be as productive as you can possibly be, you're gonna lap your other developers and no one's gonna care if you didn't get everything they said done. Their expectations were unrealistic anyway, and that's that. The next tip is the less custom code you write, the better. So I worked with a junior dev the other day who wrote his own custom library to do HTML popovers. Libraries like this already exist all over the place, and they're better than the one he wrote. But even if they weren't, his library has no documentation, and it's now code that has to be maintained. So the next poor soul who inherits his project after him is going to have no idea what this monstrosity that he built was. And so if code already exists that does exactly what you want to do, use it. Don't create your own thing. It's just a waste of time. It's a waste of everybody's time, your entire team's time. The next tip, and I'll never understand this one for the life of me, is use the best computer you can, use the best IDE you can, use the best tools that you can. For instance, I'm a big fan of everything that JetBrains produces. If you don't know them, they're a company that produces IDEs. So IntelliJ, ReSharper, AppCode, blah, blah, blah. Their IDEs cost money, but not a ton of money. I think at this point, I pay like $15 a month and I get access to all of them forever. $15 a month is well worth that type of productivity gain. If you're a full-time software engineer, you probably make between $50K as like a junior developer to like $150K as a senior-ish developer. Regardless of where you are in that pay scale, $15 a month is pretty easy to afford, even if your company won't buy it for you. When I'm using IntelliJ, for instance, I estimate that I'm coding 2 to 3 times as fast as I could in the next best IDE, which is probably, I don't know, is it Eclipse? I don't even know. It tells you how long it's been since I've tried a different Java IDE. At my salary, the idea that I wouldn't trade $15 for a 2x productivity gain is astounding. Or that your company wouldn't do it. Like, why aren't companies paying for software engineers to get these tools? It blows my mind. If you're a company out there and you're watching this and you're paying a software engineer $100,000 a year to write code for you, and there's this piece of software that you could pay $15 for and it would make him twice as productive, why aren't you buying it for him? Why aren't you buying it for him? Same thing goes for computers. My last company had me on a 5-year-old computer, which it was decked out at the time when they got it for me, but after 5 years, it was showing some wear and tear. They could have gotten me a faster machine, but they wouldn't. And it was like, okay, I'm still pretty good on a machine that's not decked out, whatever. But if you can make me 30% faster through paying $1,000 for a new laptop, Why aren't you doing that? Why? And if you're just a solo developer, it's the same deal. Like, if you can get a 30% productivity gain for a faster machine, that's an easy decision. You don't think about it, you just do it. Next tip, if you find somebody at work who is smarter than you, hang out with them. Like, one of the reasons I became a mid-level developer who was pretty good with code is only because I got to work with those guys who were really good developers when I was young. As a more experienced developer who's incredibly productive, like I'm getting 10 times as much done as most of the other developers in my company, it astounds me how much they don't really care how I'm doing it. Like, it's amazing. Like, if I met a guy who was 10 times as productive as me, I would want to know all of his master secrets. Like, how are you doing this, you Jedi ninja? But like, most people don't have that attitude. They just, they see it as a threat. They see it as, you know, whatever. I'm telling you not to do that. Like, if you meet a guy who's real smart, figure out how he's doing it. Like, he's not smarter than you could ever be. He's just smarter than you right now, and he could tell you how he's doing it, and then you would gain his powers. The next tip, sometime over the last 5-10 years, pretty much all information has moved to YouTube. If you're watching this YouTube video, you probably already know this, but like, when I was starting out as a software engineer in 2006, you know, I had subscriptions to like O'Reilly books. I had to like read weird books to figure out things. I don't even think Stack Overflow was really a thing yet. Like, holy cow, man. With the internet now, you can learn anything pretty instantly. Utilize that. Like, this is an incredible time to be alive as a developer because it's just all the information is there in very easy to understand formats. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of all the YouTube stuff out there. Final tip, take a nap and eat something. It's a simple tip, but as adults, I think we sometimes forget that pretty much everything is dictated by us just being hungry or tired. Because there's a time in my career where I wasn't getting great sleep, I wasn't eating well at all, and it affected my work, even if I maybe didn't realize it. Like, the fact that I have regular sleep schedules and I'm eating a very regular diet, I know I'm, you know, still hefty, but my meals are regularly spaced apart. They're just enormous. Anyway, that's all the tips I got for you today, guys. I hope this helped you out. See you next time.